All right. Hello, everybody. There is one viewer, and that one viewer is me. And we are going to play the countdown.
I live in dead, I'll die indebted to your hold. Born again, I swear I wouldn't breathe a word. If you could find me, take me back and make me whole. We're a circus, ruin my body with your corpse. So can you help me out?
Hello, hello. Okay.
Hello.
We're all here and we're all well. Welcome to another episode of Crafty Mess, where we talk about the craziness that's happening this week. I felt like it's another drama bomb, and it's always the same key players. Like, I'm just so at this point it's like
Sick of all.
I mean, what's the common denominator at this point? It's like clearly, clearly. So that, yeah, if you guys can see from the title, we were planning to talk about Jeff Wittek, but because the whole Trisha and Gabbie and all that it all mushed into one little thing. So we're just, it's a full circle thing. So welcome to the Crafty Mess. I am going to be making some baby doll diapers because I don't know what happened to all the other baby doll diapers. They all went away somehow. And what are you working on, Mel?
I'm still working on my top. I really haven't been working on it, all week because, like we talked about before, things are opening up. So it's just like I'm less at home, so I'm kind of just like out and about trying to socialize.
Yeah, I agree. Like, even me as a what's it called? A forever hermit. Yeah, like even me, I'm like, everything is opening up, and it's like okay, this is what I realized. I am an introvert, and I do like to spend time alone, but it doesn't mean I want to spend time alone inside. Like, I can spend time alone, like at a museum or at a restaurant or wherever, right? So I didn't realize that was one of my traits until 2020 happened, and I was just like, okay, I should have loved this because I'm an introvert. Also, I do live with two extroverts, but why am I like so itchy to go out? Because it's not like I want to socialize. It's just because I want to be in the space, right?
Yeah.
So anyways, I have been kind of like neglecting my crafting duties as well. So, but this is good because we're doing our streams. It gives us that one time a week to like check in with our crafts and see if they're doing emotionally okay.
And that's right. Let's not neglect the projects that we've started. Who has kept us company throughout this whole time.
Exactly. We can't just be like, people who adopted their pets. And deuces, right? So this is a good opportunity to just be like, all right, let's knock off some of our Pinterest boards here.
No, I totally agree.
All right, so I guess disclaimer time. These are all just our opinions. There's some facts in the description if we do have references and stuff, but this story has been going around. Like, all these stories are just floating around the interweb, so I guess you can always fact check those. But I think we're just going to share mostly our opinions on and what we think about the whole chaos. And that's my disclaimer there.
And then, all the people that we talk about on here, we're just really discussing between friends. And so we don't condone any type of harassment. So please don't send hate out there. We want to spread kindness. So yes, that's my disclaimer.
Yes. And obviously, if you have an opinion about, the key players, leave a comment down below. Like, we want to know your opinion as well. And okay. So who should we talk about? I guess we've been putting off Jeff Wittek for a while.
Yeah. Well, I feel like the main conversation that we should talk about is Jeff Wittek and what happened to him, and then also tie in what's going on with, like, what's his name, Dave Dobrik, because I think that's pretty interesting, like, what's going on.
Well, Yeah, okay, so here's the thing. David just released a new vlog on Tuesday.
Yep.
So he's coming back onto the scene. And I guess, okay, so
let's talk about with Jeff first.
Okay. There's so many, I guess like with Jeff, he has so many origin story for this drama. I don't know where to start. So like, where do you want, like, I guess
I actually
I want to know
much
where.
About, yeah, I don't know much about him. I just know that he came from the Vlog Squad, and during quarantine, they weren't all getting together, you know, but I think when there were some restrictions were lifted, then David Dobrik had this crazy idea, you know, to bring all his friends together to do one crazy stunt for his stupid channel, you know, like, and of course he didn't ever think about the consequence of it. What an idiot. Should we go into the story?
Well, I guess tell me what you know about the story. Go ahead.
Okay,
and then because I know Jeff from so many different like branches, so I think it'll just muddy it up. So like I would rather hear your
I don't know who Jeff Wittek. Right, I don't know who Jeff Wittek is, but his name came up when I heard that David Dobrik decided to bring all of his friends together for one crazy vlog, and it was just to pull a stunt. I don't know which company out there decided that it was a great idea to allow him to rent a crane and bring it to this river or lake or whatever it was, so that they could swing from the crane. That company needs to be shut down because, you know, like David Dobrik has no qualifications to use a freaking crane. So what he did was he vlogged the whole thing. He didn't even bother doing it himself. So as a friend, you would think like, okay, you know, maybe you were going to do something dangerous that you were partaking in because it's your idea. But he had each of his friend hang like a sort of like a bungee cord or something, like from the crane, and then he would like swing the crane back and forth or whatever. So one girl, I don't know who she is, like pretty much she went first. Okay, so she went first, and she like was screaming off the top of her lungs to like stop, you know, like you're going too far, you know, with David. And then Jeff went up, and like sure enough, he was swinging it far too like wide that Jeff hit the side of the crane, and it completely gave him like eye damage, brain damage. Like he didn't talk about it for weeks or months, and people were making fun of him, like, oh, you know, what happened to you? Like, why are you like that? Because he just did. I don't think he was in the mindset to really talk about it. He wasn't ready. It was such a traumatic experience. So he never talked about it until recently. I think maybe like a month ago or a month and a half ago, that he opened up to what truly happened, and that's when David Dobrik decided to like, you know, go away. I wish he had gone away for much longer. I wish he, you know, would just shut down his channel because he is a danger to society.
Okay, so how David got canceled was also through the Trisha thing.
Yep.
So I think we've heard about when David did the vlog, and there's the girls that came over, and I guess Dirty Dom was the one who essayed them. Well, Jeff was at that same party or hangout that night, and during the Frenemies podcast, what happened was, or no, it was during an article that an insider writer wrote, that Jeff was the one that provided the alcohol to the girls, and Jeff like vehemently denied it. He's just like, I didn't buy the alcohol for the girls, and he was just like, I can't be a part of this. And the reason why he was so like anxious about that story coming out in that way was because he didn't want to be painted as the person that bought the alcohol for the girls who got essayed. And because he had he went to prison before he met David,
really?
For having, I think it's for having substances. It was either tobacco or something, which again is another side story that like I have a bone to pick with. But it's like, you know, he was he was at a corrections facility, I guess, for a while, for a little bit there. And I think that in itself traumatized him, because by the way he talks about going to jail, he's like, I do not want to go to jail. please don't associate me to this essay like situation. I didn't buy the alcohol. I don't want to go to jail. Like it was like, you can tell he was coming from that place of panic. So so he ended up on the Frenemies podcast with Ethan and Trisha, who were also the ones that brought all this to light, who are also the two people, the key players that had all the fans like understood that this happened to these girls during a David Dobrik vlog. And because of that, that's how David got canceled. And then Jeff did the documentary about how he got his head, how he injured his head. And so then that started to come out. And then like as I was watching some of the docu series that Jeff was doing, and like I couldn't get into it because I felt like in a lot of the documentaries I watch, there's a style that I like, and I think I don't know, maybe I had like or maybe I just had a predisposition to not like care for Jeff that much. But as I watched some of the videos, it seems like he was giving David a pass. Now, here's the thing. I think I'm conflicted because I didn't want to watch the docu-series because it wasn't my style. But at the same time, like I had an idea, I had a feeling that he wasn't going to cancel David like that. Even though David did the thing. Yeah, I had a feeling he wasn't going to. And my first thought was because, you know, David was the one that gave him an opportunity to be in the vlog squad. You know, if it wasn't for David, he wouldn't be where he is today. Like, you know, all of that stuff, right? But then there's another side of me where, like, I think it's a little bit more innocent, where it's like, well, they are friends, and sometimes friends do really dumb stuff with each other, and you can forgive your friends kind of situation. So like I'm also coming from that side as well, where you don't want to burn a friendship. But because I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, because I have heard that David did pay for his medical expenses.
No, he did. Yeah, that's what I heard too. That's what I heard too. But that's the least he could do. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, dude, you just totally almost killed this guy. He was really close to, I want to say, they said that he, like, if it was any further damage, he could have easily lost his life.
Lost his eye. Yeah.
And
another, his eye. Like I think there was a time there where he was like almost blind for a little bit too. On the damage side. And
but even brain damage, though, he has
brain damage.
So that's even worse, because again, you could definitely, you know, lose a life over it if it caused any further damage,
or create a serial killer.
Oh no! Don't say that.
You know that I'm just saying that frontal cortex. It's a little malleable, right? So I'm just
and just a quick plug. If you haven't listened to our Murder Monday Mavis episode that recently came out last week, be sure to go on our podcast. So we had a special guest on there, and it was definitely a fun session.
Yeah, and we only do that on the podcast. We don't do it live on stream or anything. So
just a special podcast one.
Yeah, and we're still trying to figure out like the logistics of the next one.
Yeah, schedule-wise too.
Yeah, because I feel like my toddler is killing me softly with her little hands.
Oh no.
But okay, so yeah, and so that's why, like, when I was watching it, I was just like, okay, not watching it, but like hearing through the grapevine and kind of like popping in and out on the docuseries, I was thinking to myself, I was just like, okay, if this is like, you know, they're still friends, and you know, friends do stupid things. Like I mean, like when I was a young kid, like I hung out with some of my friends. We roughed house a lot, and we did really dumb stuff. I mean, obviously we didn't vlog for it. There's no money that came from it. So I think when you take the money out of it, it's like kids doing really crazy things. Now, these are grown men, by the way. So there's no excuse there.
Right.
But like, I'm just saying, like for Jeff, like I'm wondering if he's coming from that stance where it's like, well, he's still my friend, and I don't want to just like, you know, throw away a friend like that, which I guess is honorable and sweet in a sense. But because I had an idea that he was still trying to soften the cut ties with David, or still remain ties with him. I just didn't want to watch a docuseries, because then that would be like me indirectly supporting David, which I don't. So that's why I didn't like really watched through it or got into it. And again, it wasn't really my style. Even with David's vlogs, like that wasn't my style either, you know?
Mhm.
So yeah, I think that's where I was coming from. But I do know there's a lot of people from the vlog squad who did like, you know, outright was like, hey, I'm not going to be a part of, you know, David anymore. It's just, I always had a feeling, even from the get-go when Jeff went on the Frenemies podcast, I was just like, yeah, you know, David, you know, this and did this and that. Like, I can even tell that Jeff wasn't like 100% going to like cut ties with David. Especially even, you know, and here's the thing is like, we don't know what is going on behind the scenes. We don't know if David did pay him some kind of settlement and Jeff has to sign an NDA to say certain things. We don't know that, right?
That's true.
So, and I want to assume that they did do that.
If that were the case, he wouldn't have put together his docuseries, no?
Yeah, but he did it in a way where it was very soft. It wasn't like David did this, he put me in danger. It was still very like joking and guy kind of situation, you know. And so it was a little bit softer than expected. And maybe it was something that like David was like, okay, I agreed to this, you know. So we don't know because the way like, because you know how drama unfolds on YouTube. Like if it's the littlest thing can just explode.
True.
So I can't imagine. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no. I wanted to say, like, I wonder also if David Dobrik had them sign. You know how whenever you do anything type of dangerous, you always sign a disclaimer. So that's probably something that I wonder if they had signed their life away when that happened.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so if he did have them sign something like that, then you would think that he would take in other precautions, like even with when you film things for like a movie or whatever, they have like an ambulance on set. They'll have doctors
we're talking about David Dobrik, who's not the smartest person on earth. So I don't think that he's all that prepared for those things.
But if he's smart enough to have someone sign their like, you know, a danger release, then he would have to be smart enough
That's because he's paying lawyers.
Okay. So I guess like the thought process is, if I had you sign this and you're putting yourself in danger, then therefore I don't have to take extra necessary steps to make sure that you're. Yeah. Okay. I get it.
Right.
Yeah. So, that makes sense.
Plus, it's the lawyers that are thinking for him on the disclaimer part of it. Everything else, lawyers are not involved. You know what I mean? Like planning whatever is happening. So that's all up to him.
Yeah. And you know, it's definitely it's probably one of those things where like, because they're all, you know, single, they all don't really have, you know, families. They could just drop whatever they're doing at the drop of a hat and then just go do this thing. And so it's very like unplanned. And so like if David's like, hey, let's go, let's ride, crew, and then they just show up, right? Like there's no board meeting.
Friends that you should not be friends with. There are toxic people out there who don't really care about your well-being. So cut them off immediately. You know, like those friends just draining you of your energy. And it's just not worth having in your life. Like what's the point? You want to at least focus your energy on folks who want to bring you up and care for you and things like that. And when friends are like that who don't care about your safety, I would say out. Exit now.
Yeah. But, you know, again, I guess, like, for me, I just want to give people the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he does, like, maybe he feels really crappy about this. Maybe he does, and we just don't know that. But at the end of the day, it's like, if he continues, like, Dave continues to do, because he's always done really dangerous stunts, and he's always put his friends in, like, really compromising situations.
That doesn't give it okay. Okay.
No, that's not an okay. But I'm just saying that, like, you know, he's always done that, which is not okay. And I think this was kind of like the one time where it got fatal. And and maybe it would be a wake up call for him, you know, to be like, oh shoot, what I do can really actually like ruin people's lives, you know? Because sometimes like I feel like some people are so far removed with their thought process that like until something really bad happens, they're like, oh, it can't happen to me kind of situation. And maybe this might be his wake up call. Because I don't think David is like a Machiavellian, like manipulating, like soul sucking friend who only is one sided and stuff. I don't think that. I do think that he doesn't have foresight. Yeah. Yeah. That's weird. Yeah, I just think he doesn't have any foresight on some of his actions. That's all. There we go.
Oh, there you go. Dear me.
Yeah. But I it's just interesting because, you know, apparently I guess like when Frenemies, which is the podcast that Trisha and Ethan Klein were together on that did really well all of last year and the beginning of this year.
And
I guess Trisha,
right?
Trisha and Ethan like had a huge blow up this week. But like the moment that blew up, moment that blew up, David posted his vlog, which is like very coincidental.
Very coincidental.
Yeah, and then like I guess Trisha like was being sarcastic and posting on Twitter like, "Oh, I kind of miss David's vlogs." When it's like you spent all of last year trying to cancel them, and all of earlier this year trying to cancel David, and now but here's the thing. I think she was just I honestly think like when she was tweeting that she was just being snarky and sarcastic. Like, I don't think she actually means it because like the whole time when she was on the the Frenemies podcast, she's always talking about how like evil David was and how he didn't care for people's well-beings and blah, blah, blah. And so like now that she's having a fallout with Ethan over the way that the fallout happened was really silly. It was about money. I don't know how much you got into that. It was about like them taking 50-50 of the podcast and then Ethan saving 5% for the production costs and stuff. And like you and I are not making money off of this podcast, but I mean, like if I was thinking about how a business would work, right? Like let's say for our little CrafteaMess thing, like you and I would take 50-50 if we ever got monetized. And then let's say if we had to put like money for, I don't know, to pay someone to do research or something, right?
Yeah, or maybe if we wanted to produce more stuff, that we would want to have a production team.
Yeah. So then like
for us.
Yeah, so then how that would work is that like then you and I would just take 40-40 and then 20% would stay in the business and that 20% would be used to whatever, right? So but then again, that's just us like being like, okay, yeah, we're friends and like, you know, so I guess
like responsible adults.
Just having a mutual
understanding.
That's us just having a mutual understanding as friends and also as like fairness in like a smart way to do like a business relationship, I guess.
Totally.
But like you would so you would think with like Ethan and Trisha, I mean, I guess none of this was like on paper or something. It was just them texting and like Ethan was like, okay, I'll take, 55 and you take 45.
There was something that Trisha did make sense over. It was that she was never part of the discussion, and that's why I could see that, and because of that, like I'm sure she would have easily wanted to pay other people for their dues and whatnot, but it's because she wasn't part of the discussion that she doesn't feel as if she was like. I mean, she is the one half of the team, you know what I mean? So she should have some say in it, and that's why I think that she was definitely pissed off over and decided to. And I mean, this conversation really should have been offline, honestly. This is something that they should have like discussed and negotiated offline. It didn't have to like come into this whole blow up, but they have to also. She has to also They also have to realize that like it's a business relationship, so you need to act business appropriate. Like the professionalism needs to be there and treat it as such, because at the end of the day, like that person, whatever his name is their partner, right? So they need to be well aware of that and not add in that emotional factor in it, which is always hard on their case, because I feel like they get emotional very quickly.
Yes. yes, Trisha. I mean, again, she has stated that she has BPD. So, that's the kind of like mental disorder that can really mess with your emotions, where it's always like a push and pull. And I can sympathize with that, but at the same time, like, you can be your, because their podcast is very much about like Ethan and Trisha, becoming friends and then becoming enemies, becoming friends, and talking about hot topics and stuff. It's kind of like what you and I do, but we don't have the becoming enemies part of it.
Right.
But yeah, and they talk about hot topics, and they're kind of like the opposites, but they're still friends, which is like a very unique duo, and I really enjoyed that. The issue is that you can be crazy and wild on the content itself, but then the behind the scenes, the business part, I know Trisha is very business savvy, and but sometimes they kind of do pretend. Like when they get called out, they regress back to this like, oh, I'm just a dumb blah blah blah, I don't know what you're talking about kind of situation, So that is the only time when I for the first all of earlier this year, I have. Oh, no, you're good. All this year, I have been rooting for Trish because it seems like she's been going. They've been going to therapy. Oh, I'm getting my pronouns mixed up. They've been going to therapy, and
it takes a while for me to adjust to that.
Yeah, it's because your brain has been kind of like trained to but Trisha has been going to therapy. They've been. Let's see. They've recently mentioned that they are medicated and they're doing, DBT, all that stuff, which is like really great. And I've been rooting for them and seeing like positive changes and stuff. And so, when they say something or do something a little bit, not too fresh, I kind of give them a little bit of a pass, right? But now when I see this, like the way they blew up on Ethan, even after Ethan being so kind to them, and then the whole Gabbie Hannah stuff that started to trickle out, I'm starting to realize that Trisha is not taking accountability for a lot of things, and they don't tend to take accountability for things that that like, even though they know is that they care about, I guess, because Trisha will always mention that they take accountability for the bad things that they say, and that's kind of like stuff like, oh, I don't care, okay, I'll just take accountability and whatever. Like, if you don't really care about something and it hurts someone's feelings, then it's easy for you to take accountability, to be like, oh, okay, fine, I'll take accountability for that, if that makes sense. But if you really care about something and something really hurts your feelings, even though you hurt someone else's feelings, taking accountability for that is a little bit harder. Does that make sense? Like, yeah, like, I guess an example would be, let's say, for example, Papa really wanted this brownie that was on the kitchen table, and he's been saving it all day long to have it for a dessert for dinner. And I didn't realize that that's what he's been doing. And so, like, in the afternoon, I come by and I saw the brownie and I just swooped it up and ate it, right? And he's like, who ate the brownie? Well, then I'll just be like, well, I ate the brownie. And he's like, oh, okay, well, that really hurts my feelings because I was saving for it all day long and I was looking forward to eating it. And then I'll be like, then I could just be like, oh, well, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that that's what you're doing. And I'm sorry for eating the brownie. Because I have no emotional attachment to the brownie. So it's easy for me to take accountability for it. Like, to be like, oh, I'm sorry that I did this to you. Now, if it
would you feel bad enough to go out and get him a brownie because you ate it?
Oh, yeah, totally. Oh, no, totally.
So that's taking accountability, because
but I'm
trying to amend the situation.
Yeah, but it's easier to take accountability for something that, like, you don't have emotional weight to. Like, it's a brownie. Like, that doesn't really, like, I don't have any attachment to it. Does that make sense?
No,
now, if it was something bigger, like,
but your attachment is to how do you want
to Papa?
Okay,
to Papa, to Papa Bear. So my attachment is to Papa Bear. So that's
I'm gonna call him PB.
PB and J, because he does love his he does love his peanut butter and jelly. It's kind of
all right, cool.
Like, I like peanut butter and jelly, but
I actually
like the
don't
gross.
prefer that. A lot of people
I
enjoy that. I
don't.
mean, maybe it's like a quick snack if I don't have anything else to eat, but that's not my go-to thing. If anything,
That's not my meal.
no, I would actually
No, it's not a
love
meal.
I love toasted bread with peanut butter because then the peanut butter just like
Yeah.
oozy, and it has to be like
No.
crunchy, the crunchy peanut butter,
Yeah.
you know.
It can't be peanut butter to me. I discovered we're doing a sidetrack on food now
I
because that's what we
know,
always do.
because I'm like really
So
hungry right now, so it's like I'm ready
no,
to
I
go for
discovered
brunch.
this crunchy almond butter, and
Yeah.
it's the Sun brand, but it's crunchy almond butter, but it's mixed with coconut oil instead of almond oil.
Ooh.
So it's that
Oh.
almondy, coconutty taste. It's so good. It's so good on toast.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I guess, yeah, my attachment would be towards Papa Bear, but not towards the brownie. And so I'm just kind of like, I
Yes.
could take accountability for stealing the brownie because, like, whatever, it's whatever, right?
Like
But like,
say
if it
for
was,
example, if you were to eat someone else's brownie that it was like a stranger, you wouldn't care enough to like go and replace it, would you?
no, and I
So
probably
it's
wouldn't.
different. It's different. It's the other person. I don't know.
Yeah, but let's say he and I both wanted the brownie, and I ate the brownie, and he asked me
Yeah.
that if I ate the brownie, then I'll be like, no, I didn't eat the brownie. Like it's harder to take accountability because it's something you also want. So
No, I think I
uh,
would have. I think maybe
you
that's,
would too.
yeah. Like I think I would, because I'm not gonna pretend that I didn't eat the brownie because I totally ate
Well,
it.
it goes to
Like I would
show
be,
well, there it goes. You're a better person than I
stop
or
it,
Trisha would be.
stop it,
See, that's the
stop
point
it.
here. The point has been made.
That you're saying that
Clearly.
Trisha is not a good person. Is that what you're
Well,
trying to
I
say?
mean, in comparison to you, if we have to put it on a ranking
Oh my
ladder system
God.
of like Mel to Trisha, I would be somewhere in the middle, But
Because
like, but you
because
know
if
what
I
I'm
took the
talking
last
about.
because if I took the last brownie in, like, say if it's a communal kitchen, right? And I took the last brownie and somebody was waiting all day, like say it was a coworker who I don't really have an attachment to, who wanted that brownie, I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I would actually go out and get a brownie for that coworker, you know? So
Yeah,
I think that's why it's like, that's why I guess it doesn't make sense to me until I guess like people
because
don't
you're a
think the same
normal
way.
person. You're a normal person. You're a normal,
People don't think the
decent
same
person.
way.
Exactly. And isn't that so sad that like,
I thought people aren't taught these type of things.
yeah, and some people don't think that way. So,
This is
I
funny
mean,
because my ex has always said to me, and this is part of his gaslighting or part of his whatever, is that he always said that I was very selfish in my needs when it comes, and it's always him that's doing everything for me, you know. And then I'm sitting here thinking, I feel like I've done enough of my share, like in that past relationship, to like, you know, not say that I'm selfish. But yeah, he like would gaslight to say that I'm selfish,
yeah,
that I
yeah.
don't
And
think
and
about
that's
him.
yeah, it's no. You're the kind of person where like if it's someone that you don't know in the office and you actually ate their brownie and they're like, oh, I was really looking
Yeah.
forward to it, you would go out and buy a brownie. If it was someone that you love and you ate their brownie, you would like
I would
literally
go
buy
like
the brownie factory for them.
yeah, I was gonna say I would go and buy a whole like case of brownies. You
Yeah,
know, here
yeah,
you go. You can
exactly.
have it for like a
Yeah, it's
whole week, a month.
yeah, yeah. But at the end of the day, you're still like a decent person. No, because I remember what it was. It was Bucky's pickles, and I
Oh
introduced them
yes,
to you, and then
yeah,
she like, and then she on our trip, you were eating it, and you're like, oh, this is really good, and then so you ate all the pickles, and then like right
and I
on our
felt
trip back,
bad.
she felt bad. She bought me like 2 or 3 jars, and I was just like, I'm having so much heartburn. I can't eat this, and it's been sitting there. And then Papa walks by, and I was just like, Bucky's pickles, and he just ate them
Pickles?
all because it was like, yeah, because he loves them. Oh,
No,
but yeah,
it's
yeah,
so
like on our
true.
trip
Like that's
back,
yes, I do remember that.
yeah, like
I
she
feel
bought
bad
like
eating it.
it was like or 3 jars, and they're like big ones too. And I was just like,
Good. It was
why
so
did you guys
good.
so many? Yeah, and she's just like, oh, I'm gonna
Well,
just
I
take
just
it for
figure
myself.
I
And then,
just figure you want to share.
yeah, but like that's that's an example where like some people are just more decent than
Yeah.
others, and Trisha is.
That's very interesting.
It's easier for them to take accountability for things they don't care for, but then like when it's something that they want or like value, it's harder for them to take accountability for it. And I've been noticing that in Trisha, especially like with the Ethan Klein stuff and the Gabbie stuff, because Gabbie just dropped a bunch of receipts on Trisha, because you know how Trisha has always had this narrative that like, oh, Gabbie says that we're friends but we're not friends.
Yeah,
Have you seen the new receipts? Well, it turns
No,
out
what's going on? What's the tea, girl?
So Gabbie just dropped the new like the video of all the receipts of all the text messages, and the way Trisha talks to Gabbie was like friendship stuff. Like it was like what you and I would talk about, and then to tell Gabbie like, oh, you're not my friend, stop thinking that we're friends, like this crazy person thinks that we're friends. Now it makes me feel like, okay, Trisha, are you the manipulate, the one that's doing all the manipulating? And so now I feel bad for Gabbie, because at first for a while I thought Gabbie was like being a little
creating all this drama. But well, first of all, were there timestamps on those?
Yeah.
They were.
There's timestamps. Like she went back to her old phone and she pulled up all these texts of her and Trisha going back and forth. And I guess there was like even a voice text where Trisha was like, hey, I felt really bad. We were at this party and you didn't talk to me, so my feelings are hurt and I thought we were friends. Like, so it's like stuff like that, So so now I feel like silly, because it's like, for me, I thought, okay, Gabbie.
We were totally, like, what's the word? Like on Trisha's side during that whole situation. And now, wait, the table has turned. Like, what is going on with Trisha?
Well, I think I told you this in the text. I was like, because a couple weeks ago, Trisha mentioned that they were going on new medication.
Yeah, you did say that.
For their mental health. And I can see a possibility where that medication, because when you're new on medication, it messes with a lot of stuff, like physically and also mentally as well. And so I can see, because
did they say when they got onto this new medication?
Yeah, I think they mentioned it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And the thing is that medications kick in around the 3-week mark, 2 to 3 week mark. And so
but the Gabbie thing happened way before that though.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like the blow up now.
Yeah.
Like, because they were on a pretty good, emotional like state. And then I'm just wondering if the blow up now and stuff, is it the fact because of all the medication stuff? Because like when I have to switch meds, like I don't feel very good. Like I get really nauseous and dizzy and stuff, and so I could be a little cranky. But again, I wouldn't like do it publicly. That's another thing. So, but no, you're right. Now that you brought up the Gabbie thing, you're right. I think I definitely think. Yeah. The medication is not an excuse then, because the whole Gabbie happened way before the medication stuff.
Before the switch. So, okay. So let's talk about like what the heck is going on with David Dobrik coming back on the same streaming Jade as Frenemies with a whole set of new friends. But then also Jeff Wittek was in one of the screenshots too. So what the F?
Yeah, I'm confused there completely. Karina, who's the girl,
enough of the medicine, like.
Well, Karina, the girl that was on the excavator, she was in the vlog too. So it's like he still has some of his old key players. But it's just interesting that he launched it the same day that Frenemies used to have their episodes.
I'm pretty sure it was on purpose. It was on purpose. Everyone knew about that. And and did you notice that? I don't know if you saw the spill one, but you noticed that like new uploads every Tuesday, and he puts a smiley face at the end.
Oh,
so he knew. It was that. I'm surprised that he has enough brain, to like come up with that new schedule. But it was just like, okay, you can be smart about this, but you can't be smart about other stuff.
Some people can be business smart and marketing smart, but not like emotionally, personally smart, I guess. Right?
I don't
Like,
know.
I guess intuition is not something that everyone has as a key trait.
Yeah, you
So,
think so? Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Well,
yeah, there's
yeah,
emotional intellect, right? Like that's an actual thing, right? So, and not
yeah.
everyone is intellectually, all there when it comes to like reading other people's emotions and stuff. So, I I mean, again, like that. I think that's the kind of stuff that you learn with age too, because it's like when you're a teenager, you're all about yourself, and then when you go to college, you're like all about my career, all about what I'm going to do when I grow up, and then like then you hit the 30s and like mid 30s, and you're just like, okay, I'm done thinking about myself because I have
Uh-huh.
kids or I have a career or whatever. So now I actually will have to think about other people, and I think that's where the emotional intellect starts to like really come in. That's just a hypothesis I have. I don't know if that's accurate, but.
Uh-huh.
Um, but like I don't think he's learned as much as because he's still doing the vlog. Like he literally had everyone go to Hawaii, and it was like a surprise, like hey, we're in Hawaii thing.
Yeah.
But I think he has learned for the short term. But as the vlogs keeps going and keeps happening, he keeps making money, and everything's going back to normal. I think it's just going to go back to the same thing. Someone's going to get on
That's
some
what I'm
kind of
saying. Like
machine.
he hasn't learned because he hasn't. I don't think he like has suffered enough to learn. Like some people
Yeah.
need to be. It has to be like a complete like devastation. And like the fact is, like your friend Jeff just landed in the hospital because of you. How could that not wake you up? You know. And honestly, the whole Hawaii trip thing, to me, that's a bribe. Like,
Oh yeah, for
there's no
sure.
way. Yeah, there's like, oh yeah, I'm surprising my friends with a Hawaii trip. Okay, great, but for what so that they could trade their life for a Hawaii trip?
No, it's
Like,
for
is
them to
that
literally, yeah, create
you know?
entertaining content again. Yeah.
So no, I just
Oh
see it
no,
as a bribe.
totally.
I really don't think he's a genuine person, and I would say I would stay far away from him.
You know what makes me sad? So Tati also announced that she's coming back. I didn't watch that video yet.
I don't.
Um,
Yeah, I don't really like her.
yeah, but I mean, she has been gone for almost a year and a half, maybe. And so
Yeah.
she's announcing that she's coming back. But isn't it like interesting how everything is starting to open up
Why is
again?
someone
That
coming
everyone is coming
back?
back,
Yeah.
right? Isn't it interesting to see that? It's
Yeah.
like, okay, now that we can travel and we can show you how amazing restaurants in our lives and stuff are, we're all gonna come back and like shove all this in your faces again, I guess. I'm being a troll. But yeah, she's coming back too. And I guess
No,
Shane is
totally.
starting
And
to,
then the whole Shane, yeah, like I
yeah.
mean, I honestly think that they should just really just leave, like leave well alone. It's like what you don't have enough skills outside of YouTube to make a living. Like like learn other things that could like make you money besides being back on YouTube.
But here's the thing. They don't need more money. They have plenty of money
So
from how
then
much
what
they
is
make.
why do they want to come back? Oh, I know. I know. Validation.
Hmm.
Totally validation. It's their ego, like they haven't had someone to stroke their ego in so long, and they're back because they miss that. They miss the attention, they miss the notoriety, they miss the fame. That's the only reason
Oh,
I can think of if it's not about money.
that's true, because it's not like the money can be like, you're so amazing, you're so
Yeah, it's
awesome,
not there. It's
you're
because
so
yeah, it's
pretty.
because right, there are people that would like hang on their every word, and I think that's very it's very dangerous because they are not good people. So, and I don't think they're great influencers, and they are bad influence on other people. Like if there are people who are listening to them, I'm very afraid.
Yeah, yeah, and it's not even just like for Tati, it's not even like what she says, because I mean she gives like recommendations on beauty products and stuff, whatever. But like her actions for that whole situation is very it's just very,
she's not innocent in all this.
yeah. It's the way she handled it all. It's very like, I don't know, like pointing fingers, like blame everyone
Yep.
else. Like I was just a pawn in all of this, but it's like
I was a victim. Yeah. She was
yeah, I was
totally
a victim.
victimized.
Yeah, and it's like you made a 45-minute video dragging a kid through the mud over gummy bears. Like, come on. Even though the kid turns out to be, problematic himself, the point is that you made that video, So it's like I don't know. You know what makes me sad? Okay, I think a couple of streams you and I had a chat about like humanity, and then you were just saying that like I have no hope in humanity, and I was saying, well, I'm kind of hopeful about it. Like just seeing how our kids are raised and stuff. I want to backtrack that statement.
Why, Kale? Why on earth do you want to back up that statement? Did something happen?
No, because I'm seeing all these people come out of their little hole, and I think I was still in the 2020 like rose glass, even though it's not rosy, but like I was coming from a place where like, oh, 2020 slowed everyone down. Maybe we had some time to have some introspection and reflect on our lives, come out and do better, be better people, and then literally everyone's getting vaccinated. Mask mandates has been lifted, and we see all of these problematic people just crawl out of their holes, and it's just like we didn't learn anything. We didn't learn anything in 2020, and guess what? We're all gonna burn. Things are gonna set on fire, and another pandemic is gonna happen, and I'm just gonna be like, you know what? I'm tired of being hopeful. So there I am. That's my reaction.
It's great. No, it's great for you to have optimism, and I, for the most part, feel like I'm pretty optimistic. But it's when these type of people come out, like you said, out of the woodwork and wreak havoc in society. It's when I'm, less hopeful, especially, and then with all like the increase of crime and things like that. Oh, by the way, we definitely have to say, happy Juneteenth. It's not today, but it's tomorrow. So if no one knows about it, I actually never knew about Juneteenth until Tony told me about it, and because his company gives him a day off on Juneteenth.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and so this year today
awesome.
is Juneteenth observed, and we got a day off. My company gave me a day off, so we're now officially and the Senate officially passed. I believe it's the Senate passed it to be an official holiday, a federal holiday.
That's
so
awesome.
Every Juneteenth we will get that day off to celebrate. Which Juneteenth is actually the day of like when it was complete slavery freedom, right? Like it was where everything was absolved. But it's funny because it came 2 years after Abe Lincoln signed the proclamation. So it's kind of weird that it was it took 2 years later to abolish that. But happy Juneteenth.
Things still take time. Things still take time, right?
So anyway,
that's awesome.
So no, there are some things like this that we should definitely be optimistic over, because I always there was this one, I can't remember what the saying was, but they would say like so many years ago, they say not to fight for freedom, for slavery freedom, or so many years ago there was no women's right to vote, and people kept complaining about, like, if there are nobody complaining about or like standing up for what's right, then and like back then too, they were saying like, oh no, that's a crazy thought, like why would women vote, like what, we can have them in the workforce, etc. And now that's not a crazy thought at all, which is why, like, I always say that, yes, you think about, I'm gonna lead back to like veganism, because and how they want to save the animals, everyone thinks it's crazy, but honestly that's going to be something that eventually will lean towards, I really think that the future is like more plant-based. So you just see even more often with all these technologies that's happening, it's like crazy. That's the trend, I feel.
Who was it? I think it was a president. Don't quote me on this, but what they say that like history always bends in the arm of justice or something. Well, what's that quote? I'm probably messing it up.
I don't know that quote, but that sounds very familiar. Yes.
Yeah, it's like even though we are constantly messing up, we are we still try to reach for justice, but it might be slow moving, but it gets there. I honestly don't. I think in about, maybe if it's not 50 years from now, 100 years from now, I definitely think that having. Okay, two things. First theory is, I do think that we will no longer be consuming animal products from actual live animals in 100 years, maybe 50 years. Theory number two is that then the computers will take over and use us as energy to sustain themselves, like in the Matrix.
That can happen.
So there's those two things.
Your craft campaign went off.
Oh, I think it went on batteries. Oh no, it did. Yeah. So those are my two theories there. But
anyways, we have to stay optimistic, because I know sometimes it's drag and sometimes it doesn't seem that way, but honestly, we can't have more optimistic people out in the world.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hopeful, but it's still like, it does not mean that having all these other people come out from their holes and realizing they might have not learned very much. It can be very upsetting, right?
Daunting.
Like, it can make you feel like we're taking a step back. It's like, have you not? It's been what did we learn in 2020? Like, what did we learn?
No, I honestly don't think people learned a lot in 2020.
Really? I felt like I made some huge strides in 2020. Like,
that's because both of us are like, we're in a state where we like to self-reflect, right? When these people are offline, when they say that they're offline, do you think literally that they will self-reflect? Do you think that they're going to check themselves with therapy and like talk about what happened? No. All they're doing is just living their life, not just offline. They're not self-reflecting.
Maybe they are.
You are self-reflecting when you go and try to better yourself with therapy, and same with me. Like, I go on my walks to clear my mind and and just like take in the nature, and also like if something happens badly or whatever, you just sit back and be like, did I do this correctly? You and I have conversations together and say like, am I doing this? Like, what am I, like, we try to strive to be a better person. The people, the idiots on these, like, on YouTube do not, because I'm sorry, they don't take that time to self-reflect. Please. They are not in therapy to self-reflect. And like, well, maybe they are. A lot of them are kids, so that's so true.
Maybe they are in therapy, but maybe okay. So here's the thing that I've learned: like the first quarter of my therapy or whatever, I remember going to therapy just venting, and I don't take tools back to learn. It was just like venting, and so like I'm wondering if someone would just do that. It's like, people don't like me, or blah blah. I work so hard on social media, and and maybe that's what they do, and they don't take back any tools, right? And then like I'm on the outside of the therapy process where it's just like, okay, I need to stop and like look at the situation and see, okay, what part of it did I play into this like game of chess? Because I'm pretty sure I did something here too. And then also stop to think what other people are feeling about the situation, right? And I don't think a lot of people who go to therapy get to that process until a lot later, But this is what I do notice.
It's true. Yes.
This is what I do notice about like, YouTubers or influencers when they go to therapy. Is that like they first come out and they're just like, go to therapy is so great. It helps you and blah, blah, blah. But then like once they get to the hard part of therapy, you can see their personality shifts a little bit. Obviously, I'm not diagnosing. It's just like you can like recognize patterns. But maybe they do go to therapy, but I don't think they reflect after, because you still have to reflect afterwards, right? Like you can just go in and vent everything and then leave and be like, yay, I got that off my chest. I feel better. And then like go on about your day and create the same problems again,
Yeah.
So
no, it's true. It's definitely a long journey when you do have therapy, and you also have to find like the right one. Honestly, I don't think that like I was in therapy maybe 2 years ago because again my ex said that I had to better myself in terms of how I deal with relationships. But as it turns out, that I was actually I was actually good at being in a relationship. He wasn't, and like I had him in for part of it, and it's funny because like the whole time the therapist and I was just saying all this stuff that I was doing, and I said like, this is, I think that this is what happened, blah, blah, blah. And she's just nodding along. I was like, yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, for sure. And I said, and I was, diagnosing him, my ex, as being this and this. And she's just like, yeah, no, I totally saw that, but didn't say anything. So if anything, I was like already, like kind of 5-10 steps ahead of her. I feel the only thing that I felt like she was very helpful was she led me to Gottman Institute, which I definitely apply some of the stuff. But that was the only thing that I felt that she was helpful. Other than that, it was just me saying a lot of stuff, and I didn't really get so much any type of like really another. I wanted like a two-way dialogue, and I really didn't get a lot of that. I don't want someone to be like, well, what do you think? I was like, well, I can think this way, but I also want to kind of feedback like on like what are your professional expertise, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. That's
part of it is finding the right therapist.
Yes, and you need one that will like for
really,
mine. I love mine because like I would tell her something that like Papa did that bothered me, and then I would go completely off the rails. I'm like, but then there's this, and then I was blah, blah, blah. And she's just like, you gotta stop. Like there was one time I was telling her the story, and then she's like, you gotta stop because you're not breathing right now. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I literally noticed when I was ranting, I wasn't breathing. And she's like, can you please stop? Take a deep breath. Okay, and now tell me the story again. And then I would tell her the story in a slower manner. And I'm like, wait a minute. But I also said this too. And so that makes me kind of a jerk. So it's like, it's one of those things where
that's the whole point, is that like they can hear you, but they also have to provide some substantial like thing to back it up or whatever. Like I don't, like I don't know. I mean, so I definitely I stopped seeing her for, I just said that no, things are going well. Like I really don't really need much help right now. And so I haven't seen her for like more than a year and a half, maybe. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, if it doesn't,
feel like
if it doesn't serve you, then like why waste the money? Because at the end of the day, you're hiring her, right? Like and she's supposed to, and it's just like the relationship doesn't work. It's not that she's a bad therapist. It's just maybe she's not your kind of therapist, right?
Right.
Like I, for me, I knew that I needed someone who was going to be assertive but non-judgmental, because I'm like very like sensitive.
Yeah, I do. So, I feel like I do need an assertive therapist, like the one that would at least like help me like get results. You know what I mean? Like, and not just me being the one that self-reflect the whole time and just coming up with the answer.
Yeah. I think that's the thing with therapy, is that I finally learned that it's not like in a bubble, because we don't live in a vacuum. It's not about you. Like you go to therapy and you're like venting all these things, but when you exit therapy, you're still in a community, in a social construct. So what have you learned in that process to navigate your community or the environment that you're in, right? That's the problem. I think a lot of people who think, okay, first I have to get through the stigma of going to therapy, like, ooh, I'm a cuckoo person. And then second of all, when they get there, they think that, oh, maybe I can be fixed when I go to therapy. You don't get fixed, right? Like, just like Hella Sparkle says, she's like, vent, be fixed. It doesn't work. And then, so it's like, we don't live in a vacuum. It's just like, we still have to interact with other people. Just because you have someone listen to you doesn't mean everything is okay.
No, they should be the ones to provide the right kind of tools to help you, navigate through some parts of your life.
Or help you walk through a different perspective. At least
it's like, too. I would love to hear a different perspective. I mean, granted, there were one or two instances where I felt like, okay, yes, that was good. Like she shed some good knowledge there. Great. That it wasn't just me, but it wasn't that often. And for me to have seen her for like a year or so, I would think like there would be more to this. You know what I mean? Like I don't need a sympathizer. I just need someone to to give me a different perspective or how to approach a certain situation.
Yeah. It's complex. And I think, like you said, all these people need more than a year of therapy.
Yeah.
And
they're gonna need much more than a year.
Yeah,
you know,
it's
some of these people I feel
unfortunate.
like need to be committed. let's just say that, right?
Well,
I think they
you
need
know,
to be committed.
it's unfortunate because it's like the negative stuff that like get people to be
Yeah.
like to watch, right? And I think we have this weird, like, what's it, rubbernecking, where like when you're driving on the highway and then
Yep.
like you see someone car accident and you just want to
It
watch and see
bugs the
what's going.
shit. Sorry, but it bugs the shit out of me.
Okay, that drives me in. Okay, and that's how
Yeah.
you know we're pretty kind of like on a normal level of
Yeah.
humanity, because it's like, all right, the last thing I want to see is someone get hurt. So I
Yes.
don't want to turn. The second thing is I don't want to get in a wreck by like being nosy, right?
Yes.
So
why on earth do you want to be nosy and then cause more traffic and more accidents along the way? Like, seriously?
but the thing is, like,
I
that's
purposely look straight ahead, you know?
Yeah. Like, I mean, I will look just to be like, okay, is there scraps around where like I might have to move around, and then figure out like what's the best way to navigate around the traffic. But I wouldn't be like, you know, like how many bodies
Literally,
and blah, blah, like, and I've
standstill.
seen people literally stretch their necks to do that. And the thing is, like, that's a majority of folks.
It
that
drives me
like,
nuts.
and I think that's normal. There's like a weird innate. Well, okay. We don't rubberneck, but then we indulge in true crime. So then what does that say about us?
That's two different things. We're not causing. Like, it's not. I don't know. Like, we're not causing a bad effect.
Yeah, but it still taps into that, like, that animal nature where we want to see something destructive in order for us to, I guess, to maybe avoid the destruction. But it's something that is very like deep in us, right?
I feel like it's something too, and it's probably like not great to, like, I've actually lessened my listening on the true crime stuff, because sometimes it does does get draining on your soul, you know. So I don't listen to them that much anymore. But like, I don't know. I just feel like listening to it gave me such paranoia, you know. Like, I was constantly looking behind me when I'm walking. I was constantly like kind of like seeing if this person can attack me, and I don't know if that was very good either, you know. So I think it was more about just like listening to their story. But I think at least with the Crime Junkie, they want to talk about the story, and especially for people who are like missing or still haven't found the killer, they want to be able to spread the story out so that it doesn't die and it's not a cold case. And there's a lot of cases out there that went cold because there were no leads. And I think that's maybe part of the reason to keep the story alive, and also to let people be aware that this type of thing does happen, and we can be living in a bubble to think this world is actually safe, like that safe for us to go out there, like, you know. So, or just for us to take the extra precaution when we're, you know, going out, like even for us as being women, like we have to take more so, you know, like just to feel safe.
Yeah, when that happens, I look only because I'm concerned if they're all okay. If we're all slow, I'm going to do a split look to make sure.
Well, I still don't ever try, because for me, I just feel like it's if there's already people like helping out, like, you know, the ambulance, like the police, they're all being called, you know, so they're already taking care of that. For, you know, like maybe if you're in a passenger side, then that's fine. But if you're on the driver's side, pay attention and just keep moving forward. Just keep the traffic moving and flowing, because we're gonna be part of that problem. Like if we, you know, do that, and it's just that just completely
it's just interesting how like I always wonder these little things that we do as humans, like why is it that we do it? Like why are some of us like, you know? And so I can understand the like wanting to see and make sure that your human companions are safe. Yeah, and then there are some who are like, "Ooh, my goodness, how many people?" Blah, blah, blah. And then there's others who just want to know. I don't know. For me, I've just always been like, "Okay, car accident, that really sucks." And then
Yeah.
if it's okay, and I've also done the logic where it's like, if it's really bad, like so bad that like I think I would be interested in how bad it is, it would be on the news, and I can check it
Yes.
on,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
But if it's like
Check before
minor.
after. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if it's minor, like bumper to bumper, like I've seen people rubberneck over the bumper to bumper, like sideswipe stuff, and I'm like, it's so
Yeah.
like, not that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's not a big deal to the person, but it's still like, okay, let's keep it moving.
No, but even like I've been in car accident before and I moved to the side of the road and stuff like that. But for me, that's just like keep going. Like it's none of your effing business. You know what I mean? There's nothing to watch here, right? Like that's why I like when I'm like that, you know. So it's almost like maybe give them a sense of privacy, even though it's not private, it's public. Like give them a sense of privacy. You know what I mean? Like let them deal with this situation without having to feel so self-conscious. There are people watching,
Oh yeah, Ashley says not when I'm driving. I mean, as a passenger, yeah.
Okay,
I would have to say,
that's
as a
good.
passenger, there are some times when I'm just like, yeah, but like I never do it when I'm driving. But like as a passenger, and you're just like, oh, what's going on?
Yeah, which is fine. Like that's your passenger. Like if anything, the passenger's job is to relay it to the driver so they don't pick it up and overnight
exactly.
too. You know what I mean? Like tell them give them a play-by-play, but just keep driving.
No, there was a couple of times when I saw like a body laying, and after that, I was just like, nope, never again. Even as a passenger, I'm not going to do it. Like, 'cause it's just horrifying to see a body, and whether if that body is okay or whatever, or maybe they're just laying there because they don't want to move because like, in an accident, you're not supposed to move. You don't want to shift anything. So maybe they're okay. It's just like when you see a body next to a collision, it like in your brain it does something, and after that I was those instances.
I'm just thinking that if you have something to add to it, if you want to pull aside and help the person, and you have that capability to do that. But if you don't, keep moving, because if anything, you're blocking the emergency people that are trying to get through this traffic to get to that person.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like that's the most important part. You have to keep in mind that traffic for them, like that would say, like literally, it would save lives if they can just get through this, get to the person quicker.
Yes.
So, anyways, I have to get going.
Me too. All right, guys. Ashley, thank you so much for joining us today. We send you out with some good vibes. Be kind. See you next week. Pass it on. Please drive safe. Don't rubberneck.
Don't rubberneck.
That's the lesson of the day. And have a good weekend,
friends.
Catch your friends. Except for Mel. Bye.
Bye, guys.